Alright boys, so Origins has just dropped their newest trailer which focuses on the combat and also mechanics of the game. So now we actually seen gameplay. We kind of understand how the game's actually going to work here. So we're going to try and break it down. Also, if you are a Grand Cross player, you are going to recognize a lot of stuff in here. Since this is the sequel to Grand Cross, they are reusing a lot of assets and also game mechanics from the mobile game into this game right now. So who better to break it down than a Grand Cross athlete himself? So let's just jump in. If you're new and you enjoyed the video, then hit the like button. It's probably going to take a while to edit this video, so I'd appreciate it. Alright, so the trailer starts off with two characters, Tristan obviously being the son of Medios and Elizabeth. Then we have this pink hair fairy, which we've seen a few times now in the promotional artwork and also as well a bunch of trailers. At the moment, we have no idea who she is. People are theorizing that this is one of 3 of Diane and King's actual children. Alright, so while editing this video, we actually got 28 minutes of the whole tutorial leaked online, and we're actually able to confirm this character and actually what her name is. Her name is Tioreh, and she actually, for the looks of it, might actually be one of 3 of Diane and King's actual daughters, because they do say, is that my mom's creation? And obviously we do know that Diane can do that, so actually it's very likely now this is Diane and also King's daughter. I didn't know this while actually editing the video, so I do still call her a fairy pink hair girl, but I do change my mind later on. Alright, so the fairy girl kicks down Tristan and we get a little mini game here. The HP is very, very low. This could be the start of the game, or it could just be for this little mini boss fight or a mini event that's going on here. Then we do get to see a little cutscene that more or less is going to be, I guess, the main storyline here. We have no idea what the story is about other than the fact that it's original, and whatever happens here seems to be the start of what's ever going to happen throughout this game. You can't imagine this will be the start of the tutorial. Nothing to break down here. But I will say though, the fairy girl calling Tristan Tree is probably one of the cutest things. So you know what, maybe I wouldn't mind if she is Diane's daughter. Also, this could be a reach, but the little beam that we do see is somewhat similar towards Escanor's entrance at the end of the last trailer, so it very well could be the fact that they're now summoning different characters throughout the whole universe and timeline of 7 Days Sins. Obviously, we do know Galland was in the last trailer, who he shouldn't be here because he's basically dead. Same goes for Escanor, so it's very possible wherever this orb is and the fact that it is an original story, they're going to be summoning characters, and it's going to explain why these characters are all together now. And the massive age gap in characters will make a bit more sense if they're just summoning characters throughout the whole timeline of 7 Days Sins. Alright, so firstly, we do get to see a bunch of mountains off in the background, and these are likely just for aesthetics and not going to explore it, because later on we do see the mini-map, and it is basically a massive, massive island, something similar towards Genshin. We may be able to explore later on, but there's a good chance that these big mountains are unexplorable, but just for aesthetics. We then get to see our first bit of gameplay ever in the game. We got to see gameplay, but we never saw the UI. Now, you can see on screen that we are riding some sort of deer, and we've already seen in the past that you can actually mount Hawk, and Hawk will probably be the main character you can mount. We're not too sure yet if this is just a random actual animal they found while exploring the actual world, or if he's a summonable one that you can just then summon, and that'll be their way to make some money actually selling the cosmetics for your actual random mount. Alright, so we now know what this system is. Thanks to people actually playing and sharing the footage online, we now know this is the pet system. The one in the middle is the actual character you can actually ride, so you can either pick between a goat and also a hawk as it is right now. I'm sure as the story goes on, you'll be able to get Oslo and other notable characters as well. And on the left side, it's like a little small animal which you can summon from the looks of it, and this might be a character or a little pet that helps you fight. And on the right one is the glide, so this is what you do when you start gliding down, falling from the sky basically. So you have basically 3 different pets you have to get here, and you can customize them to your liking. I guess there are a lot of animals in Series Sins, so I guess this will be a good way to just, I guess, sell us cosmetics for animals, which I guess I wouldn't mind. But then again, we get Hawk for free, and I feel like Hawk would just be the best one, unless they have different stats, so we have to wait and see. But this is looking promising. It already looks so good. We do get to see some actual icons at the top right, and we can't tell exactly what they are, but the first one looks like to be some check-in missions, probably your activities, which you do see later on the top left. We also get to see the middle one, which people are thinking could be some sort of PvP. There was an interview recently that did say they are planning to do PvP, but in a healthy way, which doesn't really confirm they're doing it, but also doesn't deny they're not doing it. So we have to wait and see if we actually get gameplay of it. Currently right now, people actually can go to the booth in GCD and actually play the game, so maybe something comes out where we actually see gameplay of this. The third one's pretty explanatory. This is your heroes. This will be something like Genshin, where you can switch out your party, level up your characters, and make whatever party you desire. The fourth one, obviously, being inventory. It's pretty standard. The fifth and sixth one, though, is a bit confusing. The fifth one could be the mount, where you can pick your rideable character that you want to play as. And then the last one is Hawk's mom, which maybe might be some sort of teleport to the nearest tavern. Hawk's mom obviously being the bought at tavern, where I assume will be some way to actually interact and do something with. So this may be like your main home. Alright, so then we get our first bit of combat mechanics with actual UI gameplay, and this is kind of revealed to us that this game is going to play nothing like Genshin. Genshin is all about elemental explosion, elemental reactions, where this game is not really focusing around that, and instead going down the buff and debuff route. And if you are a Grand Cross player, you actually might recognize some of these debuffs because they're literally in the game. But let's first break down the UI. Now, the way the characters work in this game, you have actually a weapon, you have an ultimate, and also an ability. We do see the icon on the bottom left, and we never see Tristan use it, but we do see some gameplay later on, so I'll break it down when we get to it. Now, your actual ultimate ability do correspond to what actual weapon you are using. For example, right now we can see Tristan dual wielding 2 blades, and he does have some sort of life ability here, and also the fullness start ultimate that he does actually use during the actual movie. And then later on to the trailer, we do get to see him actually wield a actual massive claymore, and his ability and also ultimate do change. Now, do notice the actual lights next to the characters. These are actually what is required to get your ultimate. So you can see right now Tristan does require 2 light orbs to actually get his ultimate, and if you go towards obviously Hauser, Gilfunder, and also the Pink Fairy, they only require 1 orb to get the ultimate. So these are likely going to be very weak ultimates, where you compare it towards later on, you can see them constantly keep on changing on up and down as they change their abilities and weapons. We've just seen gameplay of the first boss fight, and the ultimates do come back very often, and they're not too broken if you compare it to like Genshin, for example. So I think in this game, ultimates are going to come back definitely more frequently. This definitely could be reworked to when the game actually does come out, but it looks like you're spamming your ultimate quite often, which is given because you have 2 abilities basically. So when Tristan does use one of the abilities, they do apply a massive debuff here, and you can see there is a number and a cooldown to it. Obviously, if you played Grand Cross, you would know this debuff is actually the flight debuff, where you can actually fly, but since it is a red debuff, it likely means they cannot fly away. Also, Tristan is constantly keep on getting light buffs at bottom left here, which once again probably going towards the character's passive, so characters will obviously have passives. The little orbs in the bottom corner are actually in fact your ultimate gauge, so when you do use the character, you can see them drain, but then you fill up so quick and you get your ultimate back so fast, actually faster than your abilities. So I feel like this needs to be reworked a little bit, unless that's what they're going for, but yeah, ultimates are very strange in this game. Alright, so when Tristan uses the ultimate, it's very quick here, but he does switch into Hauser, and Hauser, as you can see in the bottom right, does use one of the abilities, so it's very likely in this game you can't actually switch into your character, and it will use the ability straight away. But later on, we do see that you can't actually just switch in your character without using the ability, so once again, there's more ways just comboing in the game. Also, when you do get some kills here, they do pick up some gold. Once again, just taking it straight from Grand Cross. Also, I know we mentioned it already, the actual cuttings at the bottom right are straight from Grand Cross too. So this is literally using everything from Grand Cross. It's actually really funny to see. But also, when Hauser does switch in, they actually do share the same HP bar. So once again, Genshin, normally if your character dies, you can actually revive him. You actually have individual HP bars in Genshin. When this game, from the looks of it, they are sharing 1 individual HP bar. So if you do actually die, your whole team dies. Then we can see Tristan with a new weapon. Once again, changes actual ultimate, which now requires 4 actual gauges here, and also does change the ability. If we look towards Hauser and Gilfunder, they've also changed their abilities too, so once again, likely changing the actual weapons here to actually get new abilities. Their character does start swinging, so there's likely a horde attack here, which you can see does start draining the stamina bar. Also, pay attention to the fact that they can actually evade here, so bosses can evade. This is probably going to add some RNG aspect to the game, because you can imagine you do a massive ultimate or massive single target attack, which you do get to see later on with his ultimate, and if they evade that, then it's probably going to kill your whole boss run here, so you probably got to be a bit careful. Alright, so after Tristan does his massive swing attack, we do get to see him use ultimate here, and you can see the orbs deplete from the actual ultimate gauge you can basically see right now, but ultimate takes away from the other characters. Also, right now you can see as well that Tristan does have the actual bleed debuff. He's constantly keeping the damage here, which can kind of add to the fact that this game is going to focus around buffs and debuffs, very similar towards Grand Cross. Once the boss does die, you can see him drop something, which I can't really tell what it is. It looks like some sort of post box. If it's anything like Genshin and Grand Cross, this is what you'll probably use to actually awaken your characters. Tristan has now changed his weapon for the 3rd time now, and he's now got a single sword, which once again does change the ultimate. You can see also as well that Gilfunder has now got a shield, and we do get to see some action here, so he does spawn in and use his ability straight away. The ultimate is literally referencing the actual first time we see Gilfunder in the anime, where he does trap Medios and also Diane, where you kind of just trap them and probably get it through here, so it's most likely going to be a stun. He then summons in Hauser, and Hauser does use ability here, but do notice that the character is actually a lot different. And I can't believe I missed this, but Kelber actually showed me it, so shout out to him. But he actually is from Four Knights. Yes, this is Four Knights Hauser, a completely different model, which I'm surprised they even use the same actual cutting. So it's very possible this is actually just a costume, but also could be the fact they haven't actually done the cutting yet, because this might be spoilers for Grand Cross. So this does confirm that we actually will have costumes in the game, and costumes based on the young selves and also older selves. So once again, mixing up the timeline here, it's cool to see, I don't mind it. But also confirming that we're probably only going to get one Hauser, because if we're getting skins for all different versions of Hauser, then we're probably not going to get anyone else. You can see the fairy does actually just come in here and actually not use the ability. So once again, probably likely you can tap the ability once to switch into a character. But if you want to switch in and use the ability, you probably tap the button twice to actually use it. Also, she has got a new costume as well. And do notice the bottom left corner, if you are a Grand Cross fan, this is the flower petals of Sacred Tree debuff in Grand Cross, but most likely a buff here. Once again, probably not going to do the same thing here, but in Grand Cross, it does make it so you actually deal more damage and also apply shock. So maybe that's what it does in the game too, who knows. Another little theory right now is that the fairy will be using different abilities based on the sins. We see already that one of the abilities is Hawk. We saw already that she does have a fox early on in the last trailer, and then now she got a lion. So it's very likely that all of her abilities will be based off the sins. But I think this does confirm it. Literally, the lion sin, is doing the exact same pose as Escanor with the thumb or the finger up. It's like they're clearly all based off the sins, which I just love to see. Let's break down the actual button at the bottom left. So we do see that Tioreh does usually get a lot of high ground. She basically flings herself in the sky and basically uses it as a movement ability. And there's a reason why we never really saw this actually play out in the actual combat mechanics, because it's a very good chance that a lot of these abilities aren't actually used for combat and rather used for utility, whether that be just exploring the actual world of Origins. And if you go back towards the first trailer, we do see Mediator summoning 3 characters and actually use Diane's ability to actually get to a high ground here. So it's very likely that this is what the ability is. Every single character will have some sort of utility that will not change depending on the weapon you are bringing. It's an ability that every character can get, and you can also call in your party to use their ability without actually switching in. Now, I'm not too sure if that's been changed because the UI looks a lot different here, but I will say that Tioreh does fling herself up, and maybe she'll be able to fling up Tristan, and then she disappears, similar how we see Diane go in and get out of it. And I actually theorized in the past that Barn, for example, could be used as a way to actually launch someone into the sky, like how he does in the opening. So, you know what, I might have called it back in the day, so it's kind of a cool mechanic to see in the game. And to quickly touch up on the actual gliding, as we know right now, this is the pet system, and we actually don't see him go up and down, but we did see in the last trailer, which to be fair, looked pre-animated, so that's probably why they're kind of just showing how it looks in game. But it's very possible that you may just slowly descend, or you may be able to go down quick and then get some movement speed and go back up in the sky. So it might be an actual like flight simulation in a way. If I had to bet, it's most likely just gliding like how you have in Genshin and other games too. Top left, we can see the missions, once again, probably going back towards the right icon we saw early on. And then while underwater, you can see they actually can breathe for 3 minutes. Don't know why you want to breathe underwater for 3 minutes, but it's kind of crazy. But I will say, though, this does add a lot of depth that Genshin doesn't actually have. And I'm actually looking forward to what sort of puzzles and stuff they can do, because the next thing we do see is obviously a puzzle. They've kind of been experimenting a little bit in Grand Cross with the puzzles, so this is probably going to be very, very easy. As you can see, all you did was place a rock on an actual pressure plate, and then that was it. You can see in the map, though, that this is the actual treasure. So once again, on the map, there'll be like secret locations, and they'll probably require like a little mini puzzle to actually open up the cave. Alright, so after solving that incredibly hard puzzle, you can actually explore the actual storeroom here. And there's actually a few things we can tell. So firstly, it's actually the chest, which is what the actual icon is on the map. This will be a way to show you where loot is, basically. But we can also see 2 things. One, a massive statue, which actually is a warp point, so you actually are able to TP there. We do see in the tutorial league that you actually can go to it and warp to it, so there's probably a way to actually just select the checkpoint. And we can see the icon on the map a little bit, so this is most likely where you'll be able to TP to if you want to just quickly travel the map like how you can in Genshin and Tower Fantasy and all these other type of games. And also the big one is a massive spear that is glowing yellow in the corner, most likely a legendary weapon. So we don't know just yet if you have to actually summon for weapons, but if you're able to find weapons like this in the actual overworld, that'd be really, really good here. I'm only assuming legendary because it is yellow. Typically in these games, yellow does mean legendary, but there might be like UR basically. That could be like rainbow, for example, who knows. But this is Hauser, and I can only assume Gila's weapon. We do know these characters can't actually use more than one weapon, so I'm not actually too sure what characters in 70 Sins would actually wield this type of weapon, other than, yeah, Gilfon and Hauser, so we have to wait and see. But, yeah, massive loot room here, and also warp point. Pretty big update. Okay, so there is a little glimpse at the actual summoning animation. Now, it's not the full thing, but we did get to see Tioreh actually add to your party, and you get that special animation, which I assume you're going to get when you do pull in your character. Not the full thing, but a little glimpse here, which, to be fair, does look really, really good here. So, but yeah, once again, looking forward to when we actually get to see the full animation, because it might go crazy. But yeah, boys, I believe that is everything covered. That is the full trailer breakdown with also some actual gameplay from the actual leaked footage that we did see. I'll leave a link in the description if you actually want to watch the full 28 minutes. Generally, the game looks amazing. I'm actually more excited for it now that I've actually seen it in people's hands, and I cannot wait for it. There actually is not a release date, but we do now know the game actually is coming out this year. I would have thought it would have came out at the end of next year, but it is in fact coming out this year. So once again, more reason to get hype. And if you don't want to watch the leaked gameplay, let me do show you something that might make you a bit more excited, and it kind of got me excited when I watched it too, and that is Escanor versus Estarossa. Yes, during the start of the tutorial, Tristan, since he has given the memories from Gopher, he was actually explaining to Tioreh the actual past of the 7 Day Sins and what happened to this massive lake. And this lake on screen now, as you can see, is in fact the actual lake that Estarossa got flung into by the cruel sun and had this massive battle against obviously Escanor. Obviously the timeline is past 7 Day Sins and more in between 4 nights and doing their own thing, but there are opportunities to where they actually can call back towards the original series, and we might get some cool fights. So maybe we might actually get a scene to where they actually animate Assault Mode Medios versus the one Escanor in Origins. Can you imagine that? I'm actually get to play as it. Oh my days. But yeah, boys, I believe that is everything that I can cover right now for the actual update. This has been 2 days of information and editing, but if any more information does come out, I either leave it in the pinned comments that I do notice. Do let me know if I did miss anything too, and of course as well, if you guys are new, you're enjoying the content, and do subscribe. I will be uploading Origins probably on this channel as well. In the meantime, we're going to be grinding Grand Cross, so stay tuned for that as well. So boys, thank you for watching, and yeah, peace.